I'm back with Buck Sexton and Jamil Jaffer. Do you think, Jamil, North Korea is getting the message?
Well, I certainly hope they are, Trish. I mean, the thing is the president is serious. And I think that's the difference between the prior president and even, frankly, the last 25 years of North Korea policy. They never had to take it seriously. And I think with President Trump, they really do. And they ought to learn, they all learn the lesson and take account of it and stop their actions.
He's saying there are no mixed messages here. We're on the same page. We are very much against what North Korea is doing. And if they continue on this path, very bad things will happen to them. Interestingly, Buck, he also basically extended a little bit of an olive branch there to China, saying, I know I've been tough on trade and I'll continue to be so, but if you play ball here and you help with the North Koreans, maybe I'll rethink some of that. How significant is that?
Well, I think that for one thing, the president is addressing, he's really standing up to a bully, and that's why he's using the words and the rhetoric that he is. And based on what we've seen, as was just said by other guests, for decades, there's plenty of reason to believe that the same old is not going to work. The same old tone, the same old everything. With regard to China, offering them some inducement, some further inducement is something that I think might have some limited effect. But keep in mind that there's only so much that China is going to be willing to do vis-a-vis North Korea, because they have their own security concerns about dealing with Kim Jong-un. They have their own...
But there's a whole lot more that we can be doing to put pressure on China. I mean, we haven't even begun. Everybody keeps touting these sanctions. There's a whole lot more than we can do than $1 billion on North Korea. We can go after China.
But if we had China, for example, go along with the most comprehensive sanctions and just economic warfare, essentially, possible against North Korea, and the North Korean kingdom and the regime actually imploded, that refugee flow, that security problem, all of that is literally on China's doorstep. So they're going to work with us, but there are limitations as to what they will do, no matter how much pressure we try to put on them.
Well, how do we stop this guy? I mean, is it going to take China, Jamil?
Look, I think it does. I think China's got to be a key part of this whole thing. They have got to put pressure on North Korea to get their act together. And Buck's right that they don't want to see North Korea collapse. Neither does South Korea. A North Korean collapse is a disaster for the region. At the same time, North Korea simply has to stop doing what it's doing, and the president's rhetoric and talk and very real, honest threats that he's going to carry out, I think North Koreans should take seriously, because, if they don't, they're going to have a real problem.
Well, here's the thing, and this is an important distinction to make. The president has now gone on record saying the fire and fury sound that he gave just yesterday, and then, of course, just moments ago, saying things will happen to them, the North Koreans, like they never thought possible. So this is, in effect, quite a warning. And if they try something, as they've threatened in Guam, Buck, they're leaving us with no choice.
There is a bipartisan consensus that any provocation that involves a direct military attack from North Korea would involve the annihilation of the North Korean state in our response. That was, in fact, even in Susan Rice's op-ed in the New York Times. So everyone agrees that if North Korea steps that far out of line, the military response would be overwhelming. Of course, we're trying to avoid getting to that phase, and that's why the discussion going on right now in the policy community, in the White House, and across the country is so essential, because we need new thinking and a new approach.
All right. Thank you so much. Good to have both you here today. New thinking, new approach, for sure. The president sounding a very different tone than we have heard.